get into it. Thank you guys for coming. I'm so excited. This is the first episode.
Wow. No pressure on us.
I know, no pressure at all. It'll be fun.
I'm definitely sweating.
I know, it's like, it's fine.
Not nervous at all.
But yeah, just give us a quick little introduction to, well, not quick, I mean, who are you guys?
Cool. Ladies first.
Oh, man. So how long do I got? My name is Sara Spath. I am from the lovely state of Michigan, and I am in Texas now, so I don't know how I got here, but I'm enjoying this fall weather. I have professionally a background in business, and I am now an internship specialist. So I support students in the work that I do. Nice. But on the personal side, I absolutely love dancing. That is my side passion. I have an amazing husband. I'm going to get a dog soon. That's happening.
No way.
If I can help it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm scared of dogs.
That's going to be, you don't like dogs?
Scared of dogs.
I'm getting a golden doodle.
Oh,
it's the cute little thing that looks like a stuffed animal, and I have to squeeze it and cuddle it.
It's going to be so cute.
I'm very excited.
Precious.
Yep.
Eric, let's hear a little bit about you.
Oh, man. Well, my name is Eric Green, and I am from Kansas City, Kansas. Born and raised, been here.
Chiefs.
Yeah. But they doing so. I'm like, come on, Chiefs. Come on. We was on the top. Come on. But I love the Kansas City Chiefs. Born and raised in Kansas City, moved here about 4 years with me and my wife. We had our little son here in Texas. He's 2.5 years old. Our pride and joy, and my motivation to show up every day the best way that I can. So, professionally, school-wise, I graduated with a social work degree at Southeast Missouri State. Yeah, Red Hawks. Got my master's degree at Avila University in organizational development. Right. And I just love the how those two degrees mesh well in my current role as a career coach, because now I can understand how organizations work, and I really love helping people, so I can thrive in an organization while serving the population that I assigned to. So in addition to that, coupled with dancing, I love music.
Yeah.
I love music. Ooh. I'm a drummer. I love music.
Wait, you drum?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Hidden talent.
Hidden talent. I love it, man. Cool. I love it. And you know what? I got into lessons for a period of time, and I learned how to read, but it just was so much of a natural talent that unfortunately, my mama couldn't afford it, but I just loved it so much that I learned how to just listen to something and catch on to it. And I'll practice it and practice it and practice it until I get it.
Talent, right?
And I love music.
What kind of dance did you do?
I used to do everything growing up for the most part. So I did like ballet on point, I did tap, I did a little hip hop, some jazz, contemporary. And then in college, I mainly just did jazz focused. I was decent, I'll say, but not good enough to do it anything more than on the side, which is fine. I enjoy it. And
it's fun. Because I did dance for 8 years. I did everything except tap.
Okay.
Because I did not like tap.
You don't like tap?
No, because I was just like, you're just flapping your feet. And then what else? It's like I like getting all into it.
Yeah.
So, I competed a little bit too. Okay. So that was.
What was your favorite?
It was hip hop.
Hip hop.
I loved it. We got crazy. And actually, the reason I started dancing was because Michael Jackson.
Okay.
I was obsessed.
So can you do the moonwalk? Are you good at the moon? Because everybody
putting her on the spot.
I know. I cannot do the moonwalk. I was so frustrated. I could never do it.
No.
But
I can't do it either.
Yeah. No, I was obsessed with Michael Jackson. I mean, if you looked at my iPod, it was Michael Jackson. It wasn't anything else. It's just all Michael Jackson.
He's an icon, man.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll get into that was some good warm-up conversation.
Oh, I thought that was the whole thing.
Yeah, that's it. No, we're done. Bye.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Just talk about myself.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll get into some of the good questions. So, what's a key experience that you would say makes you Sara or Eric?
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hard-hitting question.
I mean, just like, who are the people that have contributed to you? Who, you know, like, what's that thing where it's like, if this hadn't happened to me, I don't know if I'd be sitting right here right now.
I think I'm always evolving. I'm still trying to figure out who I am as a person, you know? And, you know, coming to UNT, I'm learning a little bit more about myself, you know, becoming a father. I'm learning a little bit more about myself. Being married, I'm learning a little bit more about myself. So I think it's a culmination of a lot of things that's helping me to grow to be the best version of myself. Now, that's what I'm trying to be. Now, if we switch that question and say, you know, what situation have impacted you in such a way where it forced you to want to be the best version of yourself, then I can point out me going to, when I worked at my previous job, it was very stressful. It was a very stressful situation. The pandemic hit, which I understand the pandemic hit. People were trying to figure it out. And at that time, I had to decide on what I was going to do because it was impacting me mentally. It was impacting, you know, my family. It was impacting me as a person. So I was like, you know, this was an opportunity for me to discover who do I want to be and how I can be the best version of myself. And that's where I discovered that, you know, being a career coach, being in this position, that's exactly who I want to be. Yeah. And I put all of my focus on that. And through all of that chaos and all of that trauma, I stuck with what I was called to do. Yeah. And because of that, it landed me at UNT. It landed me in an organization where, you know, I can even take myself to a whole nother level because I'm working with amazing people like you, like Sara, like UNT. So that was one instance, that situation that really cemented my calling in life. So that's what I would kind of highlight that moment. Yeah, just my past work environment.
Yeah. Were there people that contributed to your calling? I mean,
of course, it's always people that contribute to my calling. Like even for Sara, like we are more than just careers. I can't do that by myself, you know. But working alongside with her, putting this whole vision and idea together, she's helping me to contribute to my calling, you know. And I think, you know, at my last job, even though there was unfavorable situations or relationships that I had, I feel like they contribute to my calling because they help me to figure out the things that I don't want to be a part of. Right. So I think every situation that you're a part of, it really, if you assess it in that way and gain positive perspective on how does this build me or how does this contribute to making me a better person for the people around me, then, you know, I don't, like, even this experience, this is crazy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This I never would have thought of that. I was like, oh, I always want to do a podcast, but look, because of your vision, you contribute to my calling. You know what I'm saying? Like, or what I think or what I'm interested in. So that's how I kind of.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know how to follow that up, Eric.
Come on, Sara.
I did think of an example. Yeah. So let me rewind and tell a little story.
Love stories.
So I mentioned at the beginning I love traveling, and a big part of that came from this experience. So I was freshly out of an undergrad degree trying to figure out who I mean, still trying to figure out who I am, but trying to really figure out just what I was doing day to day with my life. And I worked at this amazing company that provided me a lot of opportunities and was lucky enough to work in the lovely, amazing, beautiful country of Italy for 6 months for this company. Cool. And so it was a short-term project, and it was, you know, as soon as I heard about the opportunity and that I was chosen for it, it was immediately a sense of excitement and thrill, but also terrifying. I am someone who, you know, I talked a lot about my family. I really value being close to my family. So that's why this time is really hard. But I really hadn't lived super far away from my family prior to that. And I was going to move halfway around the world with no one. It was just me. And so, I got the opportunity to go with some other folks who were coworkers, and that helped a lot. But that experience opened my eyes to a lot of things. In a positive light, I saw probably over 20 countries and multiple cities, and every single place I went, I learned way more beyond than I could have ever learned here. And it made me excited. It made me want to see what else is out there that I'm missing. So that was amazing. But on the other side, I was having a really hard time. My mental health was very much struggling. And that's the first time in my life where it was so apparent that I was struggling and I had to do something about it. And I was in a different country without a support system and, trying to figure it out on my own, like truly on my own for the first time.
Yeah.
Because you can get support from people, you can call people, and they can talk you through things, but you're the one that has to do it. You're the one that has to take the action to help yourself. So, and the reason I say that it was difficult, because you hear that I was living in Italy, and you're probably like, wow, that must have been amazing. And it must have been just an awesome experience, and it was. But on the other half, I had a hard time because I really didn't have support system physically present for me. I was in a new work environment where the cultural norms were different. I had to learn and adjust. I didn't have people my age to relate to. I was in completely new cities, new ways of getting groceries, driving in a different type of vehicle. There are so many little things, and I was in my early 20s, and so there was a lot of adjustment, and for such a short period of time that I was happy and unhappy all at the same time. And I really had to sit myself down and figure out and get to the root of some things and take action on what those were and why I was having such a difficult time. And I came out of that a different person. And I wouldn't say totally different. I've always had similar qualities, but I came out of that experience more mature, more independent, more self-assured, more confident, and knowing myself better.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so many things there that are just, it's so good because, I mean, did you ever think during that experience that your emotions weren't valid because you're like, oh, I'm in another country, I should be happy?
Yeah. Well, it's I should be grateful, right?
Yeah.
Because not everyone gets that opportunity. A company sending me there, paying for it. Yeah. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I am very thankful today for it. And I don't regret going. But in those moments, I wanted to go home. I wanted to give up. I wanted to not, I wasn't feeling like I was taking full advantage of the opportunity that I was given. And so, it was a lot of guilt around feeling the way I felt.
Yeah. I mean, if you take that and apply it to somebody else, say, in another situation where they're not out of the country, but they're in a certain situation where they're feeling really guilty about how they feel, what would your advice be to navigate around that?
Oh. One thing at a time. And you can't always think about everybody else and everything else around you. Sometimes you have to be selfish and focus on you, and that's okay. Yeah, and it's needed because in order for you to live the best life that you can and to be the best version of yourself, you have to take care of yourself and sometimes that means that you may, take for granted an opportunity that you don't realize, but you're doing it to make sure that you can keep moving forward in your best life, in your best light. And it's not about other people. It's not about the fact that other people didn't get this opportunity. It's where are you at in this moment and how can you best help yourself?
Right. That's so good. Because I mean, I can highly relate to everything you said because whenever I went to study abroad, I mean, I honestly, to the T of what you explained, I experienced the same thing of having to completely rely on yourself, and then the, almost negating everything you're feeling, the negativities, and you're just thinking, I'm in a really awesome situation right now. I should not be feeling this way.
Right.
And then I lost the thoughts.
Happens to all of us.
What was there? Something else that you said? Oh my gosh.
Feeling like it's not actually like
It was,
fulfilling and help.
it lost me.
It'll come back.
It'll come back
Or
later.
tonight in the shower, it'll come back.
Yeah, it'll come back later. But, it's in that's just difficult and scary and, so I mean, yeah. But I mean, I kind of like the stark contrast between both of your stories, because you're talking about all this togetherness and it moving you forward. But then you're talking about how it's essential to also know yourself to move forward as well. I mean, and there should be a blending of those as well. I mean, so given our culture, because I mean, you were in another culture, what was community like, say, in Italy or another culture?
It was, I mean, you always hear it's different, right? It's gonna be different. And so it's having to learn how people connect. And so in Italy, and specifically in the work environment I was in, everyone did speak English and Italian. And for the most part, they would speak in Italian unless it was directed towards me, because that's their first language. It's what they're most comfortable in, and it made a lot of sense. And so in a normal work environment, you might be sitting around coworkers and hearing things that they're talking about to each other, and then chime in if it's related to you, or you can make comments, right? But if I'm sitting there and I can't understand, and I can't make the connection more casually that way, so I had to be more intentional about it. And it was very focused on when you're at your desk, you're working, but coffee time is the time to connect. And I, at the time, didn't really drink coffee, so I kind of forced myself to start drinking. And they drink espressos mostly.
Yeah, just straight espresso shots.
I was jittery all the time. I need to cut back, but I'm going to go with you. I'm just going to stand here. Right. Yeah. And I had to learn, what are the customs that around food, like eating and coffee, are the places where you can connect, where you can talk to each other. Because you just don't have those typical things to connect on. You can't say, oh yeah, like I have a friend who's from here, or like I know that high school, I've heard of it. You just don't have those typical ones. So you have to think through, and also being curious as well. Being curious about other people, their backgrounds, their culture, not just the norms, but also them as individuals, because they experience different things, and you can't assume, and figuring out ways to relate that to yourself. So it just took a different method than I was used to.
See?
But they're amazing. Like it doesn't matter. It's just about kind of immersing yourself in how they do things and how they operate and how they connect.
Eric, do you have a similar experience where you kind of were able to connect with people in a unique way, and it kind of influenced how you connect with others outside of that? Something that I've noticed is that I feel like a lot of people are out of touch of trying to connect with each other, especially after the pandemic. And so there's been a lot of talk about empathy and understanding people and bringing people into your inner circle to help you out. Like you were talking about, you connect with Sarah to help you within an experience, connecting with me. And, it's just showing that a community is so essential. And so where did you kind of learn that mentality of community?
Naturally, I always wanted to connect with people. I think I just had to learn how to. I think one of my biggest teachers were my mom. Like growing up, she always was one of those people that had her door open. We had all types of family members living over the house. I mean, they used to call her the neighborhood mom. Like she always was taking people to school, or we were carpooling. Oh, they got to go home. All right, come on, hop in the car. We'd take them to their house. So she always had just a sense of wanted to connect, wanted to help, wanted to reach out. Even a lot when we have family reunions or different events or activities, it's usually at our house. Like we have an event, all the family come over, and then it's just open. So I think from that moment when just seeing my mom and how just open she was to whoever, it didn't really matter who it was. And I think I naturally just kind of learned from her. And then even in the space that I'm in now, I always be trying to reach out to folks. Yeah. I'm always trying to, connect with folks, see what their skill set is, see what they are into, just so I can invest in them, and connect with them, even if it's just on, man, I remember we talked last week and you told me about that project, man. I wanted to check in on that, just to let them know that I'm listening and I want you to do the best that you can. Yeah. So naturally, it comes from my mom, but naturally, I've had to develop that, and I just love just really, connecting with folks. That's just me. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is so good. And see, I feel like a lot of people just think that they have to do things on their own, and that they don't they don't understand. I mean, so like in the European culture is coffee and food. Like that's what they connect over. They give a specific time to go and do that, and then say, with your experience, there's a specific time of we're gonna have people come through the door, stay with us. Like everyone has their own unique way of reaching out, connecting with people, and I just wish that this was something that was talked about more and just emphasized importance-wise in our just in our general American culture, I think, because it really changes you whenever you have someone who's rooting for you or who's right by your side and you can trust. So you said your mom. Who would that person be for you?
Not to be a copycat, but probably my mom. Yeah. My mom is one of those people who was meant to be a mom. Like she had a career and she's an amazing person, super talented, but she was meant to be a mom, and she absolutely loves being a mom and a grandmom now. And not my child.
I was like, okay,
are you single mom in a grocery store?
Let's go, Sarah.
Nope.
Let's go, Sarah. Let's go.
My nephew. And she has been through a lot in her life. She was the first in her family to go to college, and she changed careers drastically, and she really has been an inspiration for me through most of my life. And she was always the person that is supportive, but not to the point where it's enabling. And that, I think, is a really hard balance. But she was always the person that I went to, and I know that I could just fall apart and it would be okay. And she was there to pick me up, to give me advice, to help me not to worry so much and really enjoy life, honestly. Focus more on the important things.
That's good.
Probably cliche, but
So and just having those role models are just really nice. So
and everyone's not so lucky to be able to have that built in with a family unit, but I think there are ways to find that.
Right. Who do you consider family that isn't necessarily biologically related?
Yeah, I mean, I be feeling like sometimes your closest family is the one that's not related to you, because there's when you're related to somebody, it's like that sense of obligation sometimes. And you have to compromise on certain things, or you feel like you have to compromise on certain things until you get to a place where you can say no, or a boundary setting or whatever. But I mean, I think my best friend, I've been best friends with him since 3. So he's brother. I mean, he's my brother. And honestly, where we work at, even though we're not necessarily related, in some kind of way we are family. We got that family dynamic. You got the organizational leaders. I mean, you got your team that you work with for 8 hours a day. maybe even 10. Sometimes you're doing projects with certain people where you have to, connect and communicate. And so all those elements that you have in, a family, you tend to have in the organization.
Yeah.
So, some people might not look at it as a family, but I look at it as a family, because then it helps me to have that empathy, have that understanding, be able to reach out and connect with folks, because that's how my mind and how I was raised to be. So,
whenever you put out that energy, have you ever come across someone who has just been, say they're very negative or not connected with everyone? Have you noticed that if you put your time and effort into someone that they'll change?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, all the time. I mean, you run into that pretty much daily at some point. But, you don't take it personal. That's my thing, because you never know what that person's been through, what they're going through. Maybe some stresses that might be happening in their lives, and you just want to make sure that you do what you need to do to let them know that, hey, I see you, just wanted to say hi. If you ever, I'm available if you ever want to talk. Or, just checking in every day. Hey, being consistent, checking in every day. Because eventually, either they'll decide to open up, or at least if you don't see it, they'll know, like, dang, that maybe I need to work on something within myself. So I think it's just you got to think beyond just your own needs at times, and really, really just do the service, do the work. You know.
I mean, did you always have that, or was there something that taught you?
I'm still learning. I'm not sitting up here saying that I'm perfect by any means.
Right.
I'm an ENFJ, a strong J. I'll be judging sometimes. I mean, that's just human nature. That's just human nature. But when you call to do something, sometimes you snap right back. And you reprimand yourself whenever you do make a mistake, or you try to forgive yourself whenever you might have said it wrong or done something wrong, because you want to show up in the best way. You genuinely want to connect and make people feel, value. And that's why I feel like that's part of my calling. Like, I want to put people in positions to win, so I have to be able to, conduct myself in a way that where people feel safe and they can, be themselves. So I don't know. I don't know what you got to say.
I feel like that's really important for people to hear, though. Like, even myself, as you were talking, I'm like, that's really hard for me. I'm one of those people who feels the need, and trying to get better, but feels the need to be liked. And if I feel like someone was, rude, or, that was maybe not, in my opinion, not called for, or something like that, I'm like, oh no, they don't like me. Was that my fault? What do I need to do to fix it? And it could be someone I'm never going to see again, but I'm dwelling on it, and I'm thinking about it over and over again.
That's good.
And it's not healthy at all. But even what you said is, like, sometimes you have to focus. That's almost like a selfish way of thinking at times, that you need everybody to like you, right? Because that's just not going to happen. And also, like you said, there's lots of things that can contribute to behavior and what people are saying. So you just don't know a lot, and all you can do is control you. And if you know that you did not to do anything to elicit a certain reaction, then letting it go and kind of moving forward. But that's so much easier said than done.
It is, man. It is. So, like you said, just control the service that you provide. Don't even worry about what is given back, because I'm coming from a genuine place. And then, but that's good to be aware of those feelings that you have too. Like, if I am, if I do put myself out there and it happens a certain way, that's an area I need to work on. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, but instead of me going out and trying to make it better, because
Right.
then I get stressed.
Exactly.
Like, man, I need to work on this
Yes.
feeling, this emotion. And I
Yeah.
really got to heal that. What does that mean for me?
Oh my gosh.
So I could show up better,
Yeah.
you know? So that's good that you pointed that out.
That was from what you said. So I
Emotional
appreciate it.
intelligence.
Yeah.
It's so, I mean, emotional intelligence, especially within community and communication in general. Because, like I mean, earlier we were talking about if someone's just, negative, not having a good day, something like that, and you're not in an emotionally good place, you're going to take offense to that. And you're going to think, oh, they don't like me. Oh, I've done something wrong. But if you have that emotional intelligence and you've like worked through some of your own stuff, you are going to be in the right mindset to think, okay, wait, how can I meet their needs? Are they okay?
Right.
Before thinking, getting all offended.
Exactly.
And so I feel like a lot of people take that stance. And then that leads to so many conflicts
Yes.
and then lack of communication.
Right.
And then just all
Very
sorts
well
of stuff.
said.
So
And I think on the flip side of that, it's easy for me to interact with somebody. I have a big, it goes to, I have interact with somebody that is not in their happy place and something happens and I can brush it off. But I think where my area where I need to work on is when I go home to my wife, because she knows who I am. She knows, and I can be myself. Like the feelings that I have, I wouldn't
Right.
necessarily express everything that I have to you, but to my wife, I feel like I can express whenever I'm feeling a certain way, and I feel a lot. I'm a feeler, so I think just that's an area where I can definitely kind of work on. Is just being emotionally intelligent in that space, because I be so emotionally vulnerable in that space. So
there we go. See.
yeah.
What has been like the biggest thing that scares you about what has been the biggest thing that scares you about emotional vulnerability?
I think the biggest thing is just keeping it inside. That's what scares me the most, because it could be a cancer whenever you don't have a healthy outlet.
Yeah.
And another thing that scares me is how I communicate. It might not be, like, I don't want to naturally offend anybody, but, just being able to communicate my emotions in the most effective way to where, I am not offending anybody, or so that's sometimes it stops me from saying a certain thing. Or even corrective action. Like if I am emotionally offended by something, is this the right time to tell them how I feel? Like this hurt me or whatever. Or from a man's standpoint, like even being emotional. I was told to shut down. Men don't supposed to share their emotions, and being able to overcome that from a man and saying like, this hurt me. Like that really hurt me. And this is how I feel about it. So I think, that's some few things that kind of I have a lot of fear around when it comes to being emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I think it's gotten a lot better for me, and I mentioned this before, but I'm a fairly, in the best way possible, I'm a fairly sensitive and emotional person. And I don't view that as a bad thing anymore or a negative thing. And I do feel a lot, and I do express that a lot, and sometimes I can't control it. Or I think I need to control it, I guess, and don't necessarily need to. But in terms of like expressing myself, I think what stops me sometimes is what I'm picturing as how it's going to be received and the reaction, and not getting something similar back. So I've thought about that when I meet new people and how to build really long-lasting friendships. I moved to this new state and I didn't have any friends. I'm trying. I was going to say I still don't, but I consider you guys friends. So.
Hey, you my Sarah, you my sister.
Love it. Thanks, guys. Making me feel better.
You're hard.
For real.
But just trying to, when you like thinking about making those really long-lasting connections, I did not for the longest time open up about myself when meeting friends. And I would be very surface level. I would try to, be funny, talk about movies, TV shows, like very generic things. And then I noticed that when I start telling people about my family and about difficulties that I've had, and it's received and it's reciprocated, it really builds a foundation and a bond that can last longer.
That's good, yeah.
So, I mean, there's still that fear, but it's important because that's how you build, that's how you grow, and you can't control what other people do, how they respond, but...
Right.
That's good.
How have you dealt with rejection? Because that's a really difficult part, because you overthink. You think, if you've opened up to someone and they're just... And then, it's almost like your answers bounce back to you and you're like, oh, did I say the right thing? Or, did I offend? Did I, How do you deal with that rejection?
I think it's not overthinking it. Like, it's not about you. And then that's the hardest thing that I had to learn is it's not about me as a person. There's a lot of factors, and that just not taking things so personally. It's so hard, but it's really not about you.
And then just checking my intent. That's all. Like, did I genuinely, offer up, or did I genuinely approach this situation? And then just resting in that. Like, I was genuine, on top of thinking about, like, this is bigger than me. So, that's how I would kind of handle it. It's all a mindset, too. I feel like it's all a mindset and how you process certain things. And, like, I heard seen one article, it was like, think like a scientist whenever you are rejected, because then you can start analyzing, and assessing and researching. Think like an artist, when you are rejected. I forgot the third one, but it's just like take on those mindsets so that, what now? If it was a rejection from my wife, that's a different thing. You got to look at the context. Like, I got to live with you. I got to wake up and see. We got to talk about this rejection. You know what I'm saying? But if it's in a different context or a different environment where, why did I get rejected from a job? Or did I get rejected? Did I feel rejection because I didn't get the answer that I wanted? Sure. So just kind of assessing the context and assessing the rejection, and then looking at it and seeing if you were genuine, and just take on that mindset of how can I think like a scientist? How can I think like an artist? And what does this mean to me? And then how can I build from this and learn from this?
I was just saying what you can learn from it.
Yeah.
There's always something you can learn.
Yeah. Taking it back to the thing you said of, everything is an experience.
Yeah.
You learn from everything, It's so cool.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do some rapid questions.
Ooh, like fun questions? All right, let's do it.
So, this one could be funny, but what is the worst piece of advice you've ever received where you're like, what is that?
Man. Ooh, I got it.
Oh my gosh, that was quick.
This is the worst piece of advice. I love my parents to death, but they do not. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I love them to death, but they said one time, you're going to die on people. That's the worst piece of advice to give somebody. I'm like, you want me to spend all my money so I could be in debt? No. Let me learn how to build credit. You going to die on people. So why spend your money now? No. Let me save my money. Let me pay off my credit. Let me get a house. Let me do all of those things. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was just, but that was some bad piece of advice.
Wow, that was such such a quick
That,
thing to
good.
say.
I was like, I
think.
still remember that.
Yeah.
I still remember
You
that.
remember it to not do it.
Yeah, like,
right.
no. It's like, really? No.
I can't follow up that. Like, that's some interesting advice.
Spend the money because you always go, oh, that was personal. That was some personal stuff.
Yeah. Are we both answering this?
Yeah, go for it. Go for
I don't know if this is advice, but I did, when I was in high school, I was fairly good at math, and my high school math teacher, he is amazing, and he was like, you should go into business because you already have the strength. You're really good at it.
Right.
But I had zero interest. Zero.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was the best advice for me, not knowing who I was as a person and just looking at me from the outside and the grades that I was getting versus knowing my story, myself, my soul. So, anyways, not as good as Eric's, but
That ain't good advice. I'm still here. Look, I'm sweating now thinking about that advice.
just don't send this to your parents.
Hey, they already know how I feel about it. Nah, it's
Putting them on blast.
Yeah, I'm putting them on blast, But nah, they amazing parents though, hands down. I wouldn't trade them for the world. But one thing they used to teach me: money don't grow on trees. You gotta work to, know. They were the hardest working parents I ever. I mean, just hardest working people I ever seen, and I had them inside of my household, and that was just amazing to see. That's like the best lesson I could ever learn. You gotta work for what you want.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you just can't just be spending it frivolously.
Have you taught them the other
I
piece
taught
of that
them
advice?
because now they see that we bought a house. They was like, oh, okay, I see what y'all doing over there.
Yeah.
So they very happy for us, man. They was just doing the best they could.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Okay, so another rapid question is, if you could describe vulnerability in a sentence, how would you describe it?
Willingness to open up.
The great reveal.
Ooh, okay. I'm done.
That's what it's titled the podcast, The Great Reveal.
There's
Love
so
it.
many layers you have to go through just to be open to somebody that you just don't,
Yeah.
you don't feel all the way comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what makes vulnerability is like, you feel like, should I be honest during this time? Like you have questions, it's like, but that's what makes it vulnerable. Is like I'm just letting myself down, laying yourself down.
Yeah.
The great reveal.
You got all the phrases. All the good
I'm
phrases.
building off of you. 'Cause I was drawing a blank. I was like,
I was just describing around it, but you hit it right on the nail.
Layers, you got it.
honest communication.
Yeah.
That's good. Honest communication.
Key piece of advice that just always comes to you. Like the one piece of key advice that you just seem to keep practicing.
Nothing ever has to be permanent.
I feel that one. Yeah.
The best angle to try from is the triangle.
Oh,
I like that.
look at that.
That's the
Yeah.
best angle to try from is the triangle. So,
Is that from somebody?
well, I was working at detention center, and they had like different quotes. I used to read the quote book. They be having some. It was like cool quotes, and then I just ran on that. And it was interesting because at the time I was one of those individuals that always stayed in his comfort zone. So it just was like, man, how am I gonna grow if I'm always just taking it easy?
Yeah.
So I had to take the difficult road. And I think once I read that, it was like it was a cool statement, but also it had like a good meaning.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, the best angle to try from is a triangle. So every time that I try something new or do something, I say that to myself. The best angle to try from is the triangle.
There you go.
You know?
Made an impact. Do you remember it?
Yeah. And I be using it every time I go. They be like, ooh.
Yeah, everyone gets that.
You're like, yes,
Like,
I
what
know.
is the favorite quote? The best angle to try from is triangle.
Yeah.
You're going to be known for this around the country.
I was about to say, are you going to put that in your book?
I'm gonna put that in the book.
Put it in the book. Yeah, actually, he's writing a book.
What?
I was like,
I didn't know that.
can you talk a little bit about it?
Oh man, this is it's been dormant in my soul and my spirit, and I think I need to do it. I'm glad that you said it because I've been pushing it up. Best angle to try from is the triangle.
See, there you go.
Tell her to yourself right now.
But I came from Wyandotte, and one of the names that they used to call Wyandotte is Crime Dot. Because it was just a bad, dilapidated area. I mean, even if you go back now, it's run down. It's, I mean, poverty, you know, at its worst. And what I loved about my parents, I never knew that I grew up in there. They created such a loving environment that I never realized that I was living in I heard sirens. That was normal, but I never knew within my household that I was living in a place like that. They always kept it real rich in there, so or wealthy. But just coming out of there, I knew I was a success story, you know, coming out of there, graduating with a bachelor's degree, graduated with a master's degree, getting married, like that's not common in my, the area, buying a house, you know, being involved in your kid's life, that's not a common thing. But I'm not the only one that's doing that came from that area. So I was like, man, I should write a book that is called Connect the Dot. Ooh. So Wyandotte, Connect the Dot. So I talk to people, like my best friend, he's a Secret Service agent.
What?
He protected Obama. He's protecting the president right now. I had a guy that came to here. His name's Cal Montgomery. He's a broadcaster on NFL TV, and you know he has a beautiful family.
Yeah.
We got a guy I went to school with. He's the district attorney over in Kansas City, Kansas. So a guy that is a urban developer in Kansas City, Kansas, trying to rebuild the community that we came from. So it's so many connections that I have that I want to shine a light on Wyandotte. It ain't Crime Dot. It is, you just got to connect the dots to get to where you're going. So it's in my soul. I just got the best angle to try from is to try. I just got to do it, but I pitched it to a few of my friends. They love the idea. It's just a matter of just going for it, man. Going for it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I mean,
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, and also it just kind of reflects like you never know what project you're gonna go into. I mean, and like to not limit yourself.
Right.
I mean, you're at UNT, work at the Career Center. You can still be. I mean, like I knew someone. He was a public speaker, and he went to law school and medical school. He did all of it, and then he left his law firm to then start a nonprofit. He said he's like I handed over the keys. And he said, all right, up to you guys now. I'm leaving.
Right.
And then he was so comfortable in starting a new journey, no matter where he was at. I think he was maybe in his 40s at this point.
Yeah.
So it's just like having that kind of bravery would be is just so cool. So, you know, and that takes bravery to think, you know, I'm going to go write a book.
Right.
Because most people would think, oh, I'm just Eric Green in an office. No, you were like, I'm going to go do it. Because, you know.
Yeah.
Got these great
We're not.
ideas, and why not?
I just
one
gotta
life
get
to
the
live.
discipline. That's why.
Discipline.
Get up every day.
Yeah.
Well, you got a 2-year-old, you know,
Yeah. I'm
like, can I get some milk, please?
the milk takes priority.
Like the milk take priority. Can I go outside and play, please?
I'd love to hear his actual voice because you really give a lot.
I'll be putting all kinds of voices.
Oh man, just wait till he gets that candy on Halloween. It's gonna be.
Oh, are you dressing him up?
He's gonna be an astronaut. So he's gonna be like, I want some milk, please.
Houston, we need some
You
milk.
say we have a problem. Need my diaper changed.
Oh, that is awesome.
You said she got a special announcement.
What's my announcement?
You got a baby on the way, right?
No, what are you talking about? She's like, give me some alcohol. I'll show you. What are you doing? Don't put that in the world. I'm getting getting a dog.
The best angle to try from is
Oh my gosh.
She's like, that's your announcement. I'm getting a dog. Mother to be. There you go.
That's my baby, a dog.
a dog.
Yeah. Don't be putting that out. Don't
Eric
be
likes
putting
to
that
mess
out.
with everybody. I mean, Margaret, he was doing sit-ups whenever she was in a meeting. She was in a meeting, and Eric was down on the ground doing sit-ups, and she was like, I'm sorry.
She's trying to keep a straight face. Oh, it's Eric, and he's right there. So she told the lady that I was up in there distracting her. I was like, you
How dare she?
How dare you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was trying to keep
Just
a
trying to
straight
do some sit-ups here.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
face. I'll be messing with everybody.
So funny. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that was a pretty
that
good
good?
conversation. I
It
think
was
so.
good. It was good.
It was fun.
We got to give you your flowers, though, man.
Oh, I should have brought. Oh man, I feel real
We should have
bad.
brought her some flowers.
Oh.
This.
What can I give you?
Doing?
Do you want a scarf?
Get his sandwich.
Man, this is so cool.
This
We
is
honored to
awesome.
be. I know we honored.
Yes, you can speak for me.
We honored to be a part of this because this came from an idea. You reached out to the guy. You said, this is what I want to do. And now look.
You made it happen.
You made it happen.
Yeah, it's very
So, it's
impressive.
an honor. It's
Very
an honor to be on here.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad like you guys were my first guests because I mean, you guys have, and I tell people this all the time. Every time I go home, right, because my mom and I are close. I'm like, Mom, I was like, these people at the Career Center, they're the coolest people ever. I was like, they're so passionate, they're so driven, they're just so intentional, and I was just saying that. I've never been in such a supportive work environment before.
I second that.
It's like and it makes me, and that's what inspired me to, I want to make more work environments like that.
Yeah.
Like I want more people to feel special in their role and like finding their strengths. I mean, like you encouraging Star, and then I mean, like I watch you in the office and I watch how people react, and I'm like, man, I was like, that is awesome, because like everyone's so happy whenever you compliment them and just like tell them what you see about them and what's awesome about them, and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know anyone noticed. I didn't know, and so it just encourages you to do the same thing, because it makes people's lives so much better. It makes them happy. I mean, it makes coming to work, more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, there's never been a moment where I'm like, oh, I gotta go to work.
You gotta go, yeah.
Right.
I gotta go to work. It's like, I get to go to work. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
so cool, man.
That's how it should be.
That's how it
Exactly.
should.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so,
Man.
and so it just means a lot. I mean, because you guys have contributed a lot to what I want to do with my personal future. It's, putting that motivation, inspiration to people, showing their strengths, their potential,
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff, because, I mean, there was another guy, I can't remember his name, but he runs a nonprofit in the United States. Or, no, actually, I think he's like from Finland or something like that. But he has a company that's a nonprofit where he goes into these workspaces and he connects the team members to operate like a family and to, recognize each individual strength and even the weaknesses as well. If, you're not good at that, that's okay. Ted over here is really good at it. So he's got your back covered there, And so it's just like, and that's what I notice in our work environment. Which I just think is so cool, and it's so unique, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So
We are hiring at the UNT.
Plug.
Let's throw the plug in it.
so I love working with you guys. I'm glad I got you on here.
So
to talk about
thankful to
this.
be here
cool.
and
Yeah.
to have met you. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard when I graduate.
You're not allowed.
I know. That's why I was asking Eric. I was like, "Do you have any open positions? Like, can I come back?"
Yeah, you
So-
Wait
can.
and see, maybe.
You can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
To see, I'll be waiting. So, right, but I think that basically
Let's
wraps
wrap
it
it
up.
Wraps it
But
up.
thank you guys so much.